My name is Sky, and on the day the whole world awakened, I learned two things. First, everyone gets a skill tree. Second, people are complete idiots when numbers start glowing. It happened during our final school exam. 1 second I was staring at a math problem about trains. The next second the ceiling split open, a giant blue window appeared in front of every human on Earth, and a calm voice announced that monsters had entered the world. Nobody even screamed at first. We were too busy looking at our status screens. Mine was simple: level 1, strength 6, agility 7, intelligence 9, luck 3. And at the bottom was the number everybody cared about: skill points, 1. The system explained that every level gave more points, and those points could be spent on skills. My classmates went crazy immediately. One guy bought Iron Fist and punched his desk in half. A girl bought Flame Spark and set the fire alarm on fire. My teacher bought Calm Mind, looked around at 30 screaming teenagers, and immediately asked for a refund. I opened my own skill tree. It was huge: sword mastery, magic missile, tough skin, quick step, cooking, swimming, negotiation, sleep resistance, brick throwing. There were thousands of choices, and every skill had more upgrades hidden behind it. I almost bought quick step. Almost. Then I noticed a tiny line at the bottom of my status screen. Unspent skill points remaining for 24 hours will be doubled. I stared at it. Then I stared again. I thought maybe I had read it wrong. Maybe it meant experience doubled. Maybe it meant points earned tomorrow doubled. Maybe the system was using some weird magical wording. So I did the most difficult thing any human can do when a shiny upgrade button is floating in front of their face. I did nothing. That night the city sirens screamed until sunrise. Goblins came out of subway tunnels. A giant turtle with a bus stop stuck to its shell blocked the highway. News channels showed awakened people firing ice spears and lightning bolts, while I sat in my bedroom holding a kitchen knife and guarding my single point like it was the last French fry in the universe. At exactly midnight my status screen flashed. Skill points 2. I stopped breathing. 1 became 2. I laughed so hard my mother thought the monsters had finally gotten inside. The next morning, my best friend Juno showed me his new skill, Triple Punch. It cost 2 points and let him punch 3 times in the time it took a normal person to punch once. He asked what I bought. I said nothing. He looked at me like I had admitted I could not read. By lunchtime, everybody knew Sky didn't spend his point. Maybe his tree is broken. Maybe he got a useless class. Maybe his skill is being poor. That last one came from Rex, the loudest guy in school and the kind of person who looked into a mirror and somehow saw an audience. Rex had spent every point he earned. His class was Flame Warrior, which sounded impressive until he used Fire Sword indoors and burned off both his eyebrows. He still walked around like a king. He slapped my shoulder and asked if I wanted him to carry me when the next monster attack happened. I smiled and told him to save his eyebrows first. That afternoon, our school became an official training center. The government had no idea what was happening, so their plan was simple: put every awakened teenager in a gymnasium, give us helmets, and hope nobody summoned a dragon. An instructor named Captain Myra explained levels, classes, skills, dungeons, and monster cores. Every time we killed something dangerous, we gained experience. If we leveled, we gained skill points. If we spent them, we became stronger. Simple, except my points were not simple. I had 2. The next day I had 4, then 8, then 16. I stopped thinking of them as points. I started thinking of them as rabbits. Every midnight they multiplied. The problem was that I was still weak, ridiculously weak. My classmates were running on walls, lifting vending machines, and firing wind blades across the gym. I was doing normal push-ups. Normal push-ups became very embarrassing after you watch a 12-year-old use Gorilla Grip to crush a bowling ball into powder. Captain Myra tested us one by one. Juno destroyed a training dummy. Rex melted one. A quiet girl named Nia touched hers and somehow made it apologize. Then it was my turn. I punched the dummy. My wrist hurt. The dummy did not care. The gym became silent. Rex laughed so hard he fell off a bench. Captain Myra checked my status and frowned when she saw my unspent points. By then I had 32. She told me I could buy basic strength 10 times and become one of the strongest students instantly. I said no. She asked why. I told her I had a plan. She asked what plan. I told her I was still waiting for the plan to become stupid enough to work. She stared at me for a long time, then she wrote possible mental issue on her clipboard. That evening, our first real dungeon opened under the school cafeteria. Of course it did. 1 second the lunch ladies were serving noodles. The next second the floor turned black. A stone staircase appeared between the tables, and a horned rat the size of a motorcycle jumped out and stole an entire tray of garlic bread. The system labeled it a Grade 1 dungeon. Captain Myra ordered everyone to evacuate. Rex shouted that this was our chance to prove ourselves. He jumped into the dungeon. Half the class followed him. Captain Myra said a word teachers are not supposed to say and chased them. Juno grabbed my arm and pulled me along before I could object. That is how I entered my first dungeon with 64 unspent skill points, no combat skills, and a plastic cafeteria fork in my pocket. The dungeon was a maze of red stone tunnels full of giant rats wearing pieces of stolen kitchen equipment as armor. One had a frying pan on its head, one had a cheese grater strapped to its chest. One was carrying a ladle like a spear. Rex charged them with fire sword. Juno used triple punch. I did what I had trained my whole life to do. I stayed behind the people with fire and fists, then the tunnel collapsed. A section of ceiling crashed between us. I was trapped on one side with Nia and 3 rat monsters. Nia had a strange class called Voice Binder. She could force weak enemies to obey short commands, but she had used most of her mana getting a rat to slap itself. The 3 remaining monsters rushed us. I had 64 points. I could have bought sword mastery. I could have bought tough skin. I could have bought anything useful. Instead, I saw a metal pipe sticking out of the wall. I pulled it. Hot cafeteria steam exploded from a broken vent and blasted the rats across the tunnel. One flew into a soup pot, another hit the wall. The third slipped on noodles and knocked itself unconscious. Nia stared at me. I stared at the rats, then I took the ladle. You never know. We caught up with the others near the dungeon boss room. The boss was called the Rat King, but the title was generous. It looked like someone had glued 6 rats together, given them a crown, and told them to be confident. Rex fought it head-on. The Rat King smacked him through a table. Juno got trapped under a pile of stolen rice bags. Captain Myra was busy fighting the smaller monsters. I noticed the boss was standing under a huge metal ventilation fan. So I threw the ladle, not at the boss, at the emergency switch. The fan turned on. The Rat King's cape got sucked into the blades. For 3 glorious seconds, the dungeon boss became a screaming flag. Then the whole fan ripped off the ceiling and flattened it. I gained 2 levels. More skill points appeared. I did not spend them. At midnight, the total doubled. By the end of the first week, I had over 1,000 points. That was when waiting stopped being funny. 1,000 points could change a life. 10 points could make someone a trained swordsman. 50 could unlock advanced magic. 200 could buy a rare class branch. I had more than 1,000, and I still had the combat ability of an angry delivery driver. People started calling me Blank Sky. Videos of my training test went viral. Someone added sad violin music to the clip where I punched the dummy and hurt my wrist. Someone else made a meme saying, "When the apocalypse arrives but your subscription expired." Rex printed it on a shirt. I wanted to punch him. Unfortunately, he had fire armor now, so I waited. Every day my points doubled. 1,000 became 2,000, 2,000 became 4, 4 became 8. The number rose so fast that I started checking my status screen the way people check a bank account after winning the lottery. Except I could not spend any of it, not yet. Because I realized something terrifying. The doubling had no listed limit, no cap. No warning, no stops at level 50, just a timer, 24 hours, double. And as soon as I understood that, I decided I was going to become the most patient idiot alive. Then the city was attacked by the Glass Ogre, a 12-meter monster with transparent skin that ate a military rocket and burped fire. Our academy was ordered to evacuate civilians, and I was very happy with that plan until a shopping center collapsed. A kid was trapped under a concrete beam. Rex and Juno tried lifting it. Even with strength skills, it barely moved. The ogre was turning toward us, and I finally opened my tree. By then I had almost 30,000 points. I could have bought Titan Muscle. Instead, I found a skill that cost 1 point, proper lifting technique. I bought it. The system showed me where to place my feet and how to use leverage. I shouted instructions, all 3 of us lifted together, and the kid crawled free. That 1 point changed my strategy. I realized I did not need to touch the expensive skills yet. The tree was full of cheap nonsense nobody wanted, so I started buying crumbs. Not tying, breath-holding, shoe grip, coin flick, fast counting, balanced carrying, selective hearing. A goblin tried to strangle me with rope. I escaped the knot. A slime tried to drown me. I calmly waited it out. A flying imp stole my knife. I flicked a coin into its forehead hard enough to change its career goals. I was still weak in a normal fight. I was also becoming extremely difficult to kill in stupid situations. And the giant pile of points kept doubling. 2 weeks after awakening, my points crossed 1 million. I was sitting on my bed when the number changed. 1048,576. I stared at it until my eyes hurt. 1 million skill points. The most expensive skill I had ever seen cost 50,000. I had enough points to buy legendary classes like they were snacks. And if I waited 1 more day, I would have 2 million. That was the problem. The number had become addictive. Every day, spending felt more expensive because I knew what tomorrow could be. 1 million became 2, 2 became 4. Then the Academy announced the ranking tournament. Every awakened student in the region would fight to earn licenses, money, and access to stronger dungeons. The top 10 would enter the National Hunter program. The winner would receive a relic called the Crown of Growth, which permanently increased all experience gained. Rex almost exploded from excitement. Juno wanted to enter, Nia wanted the license. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. Then Captain Myra handed me a form. My name was already signed. I asked who signed it. She said I did. I said that did not look like my handwriting. She reminded me I had bought left-hand writing. I looked at the signature. It was extremely good. She had forged my name using knowledge of my own useless skill. I respected the move. The tournament arena was packed. Thousands of people came to watch awakened teenagers beat each other up in a stadium that had been reinforced after the first test event ended with a lightning mage accidentally launching a hot dog cart into the parking lot. The announcer introduced favorites: Rex the Flame Warrior, Juno the Shock Brawler, Nia the Voice Binder, then me. Sky class unknown, combat record unclear, internet nickname blank sky. The crowd laughed, I waved. My points had reached over 4 million. My first 3 tournament matches were a parade of people learning that expensive skills do not protect you from embarrassment. A speed fighter ran circles around me until I stretched a shoelace across his path. He became a human wheel and rolled out of bounds. A stone skin user became too heavy to stop himself after slipping on broken glass. A wolf summoner ordered 6 wolves to destroy Sky. Dog voice recognition told me they did not know whether he meant me or the thing above us, so I pointed at the ceiling. The wolves stared upward until the timer ended. By the quarterfinals, nobody was laughing. People were getting annoyed. I was winning fights with skills that sounded like they came from a disappointing summer camp. Then I faced Nia. She smiled when we entered the ring. I knew that smile. That was not a friendly smile. That was the smile of someone who had spent 3 days thinking about how to ruin me. The match began. She pointed at me and used command voice. Kneel. My knees bent. I almost hit the ground. Her voice skill bypassed strength. It directly forced the body to obey. The crowd cheered. Nia walked closer. Drop out. My mouth opened. I needed a counter. I searched my tree. Mind shield cost 3,000. Willpower cost 500. Command resistance cost 200. Too expensive. Then I saw a 1-point skills, selective hearing. I bought it. Nia said drop out. I heard nice trout. I smiled. She frowned. Leave the ring. I heard seasoning. She shouted louder. I heard something about a washing machine. Her skill completely failed because my brain had decided her words were not relevant. Nia started laughing. That broke her concentration. I stepped behind her, tapped her shoulder, and said duck. She turned around. I flicked a coin, not at her. At the emergency sprinkler above us, water blasted down. She slipped. I used balance carrying to catch her spin and set her outside the boundary without dropping her. The judge raised my hand. Nia stared at me from outside the ring. You are the worst. I thanked her. Then came the semifinal. Rex. The entire stadium woke up. Rex walked into the ring surrounded by fire. He had upgraded Fire Sword into Inferno Blade, Fire Armor into Phoenix Coat, and somehow gained a skill called Dramatic Entrance that made sparks explode behind him whenever he stopped walking. He looked incredible. He had also spent every point he owned. I entered with my hands in my pockets. He asked if I was finally going to reveal my real power. I told him I had brought exact change. He did not understand. The match started. Rex attacked. The first sword swing melted the floor. I ran, not with a speed skill, just normal running. Very motivated normal running. He chased me around the arena while shouting about honor. I shouted that burning people was not an argument. He launched a flame wave. I ducked. The barrier behind me cracked. The judges started looking worried. I searched my cheap skills while running. Heat resistance was 20 points. Too much oven timing was 1 point. I bought it. Suddenly, I could feel exact heat changes in the air. Rex swung again. I knew when the flame would peak. I moved a half second early. Another swing. I moved. Another. I moved. To everyone else, it looked like I could predict his attacks. Rex got furious. His flames grew hotter. That was when I noticed something. His phoenix coat protected him from heat but not smoke. So I grabbed the cloth banner around the arena, dragged it across the burning floor, and filled the ring with thick black smoke. Rex could not see. I could barely see either, but I had oven timing. Every burst of heat told me where he was. He shouted and swung randomly. I crawled under the flames, tied his bootlaces together with knot tying, and ran. Rex took one heroic step. Then Phoenix Coat, Inferno Blade, and Dramatic Entrance all flew face first into the floor. The stadium exploded with laughter. Rex stood up so fast the flames around him turned blue. Then his boot crossed the boundary line, the judge called it. I won. Rex looked like he had just discovered betrayal as a concept. I reached the final. My opponent was not a student, at least not anymore. His name was Vale. He had awakened a rare class called Devourer. Every time he defeated someone, he could temporarily copy one of their skills. He had fought through the tournament stealing powers from everyone he beat. By the final match he had speed, armor, lightning, regeneration, blade magic, and a floating spear. His entrance did not need a purchase skill, people simply got quiet. Vale looked at me and said he had watched every match. He said tricks would not work on him. I believed him. The match started. He moved faster than Vance. He hit harder than Rex. He used Nia's command voice and ordered me to stop. Selective hearing saved me. Then he summoned wolves. Dog voice recognition told me these ones knew exactly what Sky was. That was bad. I dodged the wolves, but a lightning bolt hit my shoulder. My arm went numb. Vale appeared in front of me and punched me across the arena. I hit the wall hard enough to see 3 versions of my own status screen. The crowd screamed. Vale walked toward me. This was the first time I had fought someone who was not fooled by nonsense. He had too many options. I had millions of points. I could end it instantly. I could buy Titan Muscle, Dragon Step, Absolute Barrier. Storm Magic, I could become stronger than every student in the arena combined. But I looked at the timer, 3 hours until midnight. 3 hours until my remaining points doubled again. I know that sounds insane. I was getting beaten into the floor, and I was thinking about compound growth. But when you have watched a number become a million, you start making strange life choices. Vale raised his spear. I bought 1 skill, impact roll, 2 points. He hit me. Instead of smashing into the wall, I rolled with the force, flipped, and landed outside his attack range. Then I bought another, object appraisal, 1 point. I looked at his floating spear. It was not magic, it was linked to a bracelet on his wrist. I bought accurate throwing, 1 point. I flicked my last coin at the bracelet. The coin hit the clasp, the bracelet fell, the spear dropped onto Vale's head. He staggered, the wolves jumped. I shouted a command using dog voice recognition. Food. Every wolf turned toward the snack stand. Vale shouted for them to attack me. They were summoned wolves, but they were still wolves. The smell of meat won. He fired lightning. I grabbed his dropped bracelet and held it up. The spear flew toward me, then past me, straight into Vale's chest armor. It did not pierce him, but the impact launched him backward. He hit the boundary, 1 foot went out, then he stopped. Regeneration healed his balance faster than should be medically possible. He smiled. I had almost won, almost. Then he used a skill he had hidden all tournament. Gravity field, the entire ring became heavy. My knees slammed down. My fingers could barely move. Vale walked toward me slowly. No cheap trick would beat this. I searched. Gravity resistance cost 8,000. No. Feather body cost 2,000. No. Basic crawling cost 1 point. I bought it. The crowd watched in silence as I, future champion of the regional Awaken tournament, crawled across the arena like a baby escaping daycare. Vale stared at me. I crawled faster. Basic crawling was apparently very serious about crawling. I reached the edge of the gravity field, stood up, and ran. Vale canceled the skill and chased me. That was exactly what I wanted. Gravity field had cracked the floor. 1 tile near the boundary was loose. He stepped on it. The tile flipped. Vale slipped. I used accurate throwing to toss his bracelet under his foot. He slipped again. Then one of his own wolves returned carrying a sausage. Vale fell backward, out of bounds. The stadium became silent for 1 full second. Then the announcer screamed my name. I had won the tournament. With crawling, Rex did not speak to me for 2 days. The crown of growth looked like a silver ring, not a crown, but it doubled my experience gain. More important, winning the tournament sent me to the Capital Academy, where real monsters trained beside people who were somehow scarier. I kept waiting. 4 million became 8, 8 became 16, then the number stopped feeling human. Soon I had more than 100 million skill points. At that scale, legendary skills looked cheap. Meteor Punch cost 100,000, Time Step cost 300,000, Phoenix Heart cost 1 million. I still hesitated, then a new black skill appeared. Error Sight cost 10 million. I bought it. The world filled with hidden system text. Buildings showed durability. Monsters showed secret weaknesses. A practice dummy had a note saying it had been punched more than 400,000 times and wished to retire. Then I looked at myself. Above my skill point counter was a message. Multiplication rule unauthorized. Administrator review pending. That was the moment saving points stopped being a funny exploit. I told Nia, and together with Momo, a tiny girl whose absurd door control skill could turn almost any doorway into a weapon. We broke into a hidden archive beneath the Academy library. Old tablets revealed that Earth had awakened many times before. Civilizations gained skills. Civilizations grew strong. Then something called the Collector arrived and reset them. One warning repeated across several tablets. When point growth exceeds the chosen limit, the Collector descends. That sounded extremely related to my situation. Before we could learn more, a giant system security eye came after us. I could not overpower it without spending hundreds of millions, so I bought system language, contract reading, and complaint filing. Then I defeated ancient security with paperwork. I argued that because Momo had opened a valid door into the archive, we had technically been invited. The system froze the murderous eye while the complaint was reviewed. We ran before customer service changed its mind. At midnight, my points doubled past 1 billion and unlocked a Golden Authority branch. One skill stood out. Point sovereignty cost 1 billion. It made my points legally mine and blocked outside system restrictions. I bought it. The sky cracked. Every status screen in the Academy flickered. A message appeared over the clouds. Unauthorized ownership claim detected. Collector dispatch accelerated. Nia asked what I had done. I told her, possibly paperwork. For the next day, the world started glitching. A dungeon rained furniture. A dragon spawned in a swimming pool and refused to leave because the water was warm. A vending machine awakened, reached level 12 and raised its prices. Error site showed instability everywhere. Something was coming. Then the black auction attacked the Academy, not with 5 assassins, with an army. Black airships appeared over the city. Hundreds of masked hunters dropped into the training grounds. They released captured monsters, disabled the barriers, and announced one demand. They wanted me. I was offended, not by the kidnapping attempt, by the dramatic effort. Did they really need airships? Master Saul gathered the students. Saint Orion himself arrived. He was the strongest hunter in the country, level 123, with a legendary class called Sun Knight. He carried a spear made of solid light. I had seen him on television. He looked exactly like someone who knew he was on television. Ryan told us the black auction leader, Madame Vex, had discovered a method to steal unspent skill points. That made my blood run cold. Finally, someone had built a weapon specifically designed to ruin my entire personality. Vex appeared on a giant hologram over the Academy. She wore a silver mask and sat on a throne made from monster horns. She announced that she knew someone in the Academy had impossible point density. She did not know it was me, yet. She activated a massive device under the city. Every awakened person's skill point counter became visible above their head. People gasped. Rex had 12, Juno had 7, Nia had 41. Master Saul had 0 because of course he spent everything immediately. Saint Orion had 3, then my number appeared. It covered the sky. There was a long silence, 1,200,000,000 plus change. Everyone looked at me. I looked at the number, then at Rex. Rex whispered, "You were saving." I nodded. "For how long?" I said, "A little while." Madame Vex's hologram leaned forward. Every black auction hunter turned toward me at once. That was a very uncomfortable moment. The attack began. Saint Orion shouted for me to run. I ran. Not because I was scared, I was terrified. There is a difference. Black auction hunters chased me through the Academy. One used chain magic. I bought rope skipping for 1 point and jumped over the chains. One used ice floor. I had shoe grip. One released a giant boar. I bought matador basics. 2 points. I waved Rex's tournament shirt. The boar charged the picture of his face. Rex was not happy. I reached the underground transit tunnel. Nia, Juno, Rex, and Momo caught up. I told them to leave. They refused. Rex said he had spent years making fun of me and deserved to see how stupid this ended. Fair. We boarded a magic train. The train had no driver because the driver was fighting a skeleton in the station. I bought basic train controls. 1 point. I drove. We shot through the tunnel while assassins landed on the roof. Juno punched upward and launched one into a light fixture. Momo opened the train door sideways, causing another assassin to fall through a door that opened into the same train, then fall again, until he became too dizzy to continue being evil. Nia commanded a third attacker to sit. He sat on the roof at 200 kilometers per hour. Bad choice. Then Madame Vex herself appeared in front of the train. She stood on the tracks. I hit the brakes. Nothing happened. Apparently, basic train controls included driving but not miracles. Vex raised one hand. A black barrier formed. The train hit it. Everything became noise. The front car folded. I flew through a window. Safe landing activated. I rolled across the platform. My friends crashed behind me in less graceful ways. Madame Vex walked toward us. Her skill was called Debt Collector. Error site revealed the effect. Anyone she touched would have all unspent skill points transferred to her, all of them. I backed away so fast I almost achieved a new speed stat naturally. She smiled. Sky, you have wasted more power than kings could dream of. I told her it was not wasted, it was maturing. She did not appreciate financial humor. She attacked. Vex was fast, very fast. I bought Quick Step, finally, the skill I almost bought on day one. It cost 5 points. After billions, 5 points felt like dropping dust. My body blurred. I dodged her hand. She attacked again. I bought Advanced Quick Step. 50 points, then Phantom Step, 500, then Lightning Step, 5,000. For the first time I started climbing a skill branch properly. The world slowed. Vex's fingers passed a centimeter from my chest. I stepped behind her. She spun. I stepped left. She used black chains. I stepped through them. Everyone watching went silent. This was the first time they had seen me spend points like a normal person. Except I was not normal anymore. 5,000 points was nothing. Vex increased her speed. I bought Spatial Step, 50,000. I moved without crossing the space between. 1 second I was in front of her. The next I was on top of a ticket machine, eating a candy bar I had found during evacuation. Rex stared at me. Sky, I looked down. What? How many movement skills are there? I checked. A lot. Vex screamed and shattered the station. The fight moved underground. She activated Det Field. Now she did not need to touch me. Any unspent point within 50 meters would slowly transfer to her. My counter started decreasing. Her power rose. I felt actual panic, not because I might die. Because my number was going down, I bought Point Lock, 10,000. Transfer blocked. Vex's eyes widened behind her mask. I smiled. Then I bought Skill Privacy, 20,000. My giant floating number disappeared. The entire group cheered like I had finally closed an embarrassing browser tab. Vex attacked again. This time I stopped holding back. Not completely. I am not crazy. Well, not completely crazy. I bought Combat Prediction. I bought Monocyte. I bought Air Step. I bought Reinforced Bones. I bought Enhanced Reflexes. I bought Pain Reduction. I bought Perfect Balance. I bought Blade Catching. Each skill cost thousands. I was spending points faster than I ever had in my life. And yet the number barely moved. Vex fired a black spear. I caught it. She summoned chains. I stepped on them like stairs. She created a giant hand from shadows. I bought Shadow Grip and grabbed its finger. Then I flipped the entire hand over her. Juno shouted that I had been cheating this whole time. I shouted back that patience was not cheating. Rex yelled, it feels like cheating. Vex destroyed the platform. We fell into an underground cavern. That was where we found the real black auction machine. A giant black crystal was buried under the city, connected to thousands of glowing cables. Error site identified it. World point extractor purpose, harvest unused growth potential from awakened populations. Status prototype based on collector technology. That changed everything. Madame Vex had not invented this. She had copied it from the same force that was coming for me. The collector, Vex laughed. She said humanity was doomed anyway. According to the ancient files she had stolen, once the collector arrived, every person with excess growth would be drained. She wanted to steal enough points to become stronger than the collector before it reached Earth. Her plan was evil, but the fear behind it was real. Then the extractor activated. Every person in the city lost 1 unspent point. Just 1. Millions of points flowed into the crystal. The cavern shook. Vex absorbed the energy. Her level exploded upward. 100, 200, 500, 1,000. The system began throwing warning messages. Her body changed. Black armor grew over her skin. 6 wings appeared. Her mask cracked. She became something halfway between a hunter and a system boss. Madame Vex, level 1204, class, Stolen Empress. Everyone around me froze. Rex whispered, please tell me you have a cheap skill for this. I searched. Budget boss removal. No results. For once the tree did not have a joke answer. Vex lifted her hand. The entire cavern ceiling vanished. Not broke, vanished. We could see the city above us. She pointed at Saint Orion, who was fighting black auction troops in the distance. A black beam crossed the skyline. Orion blocked it with his light spear. The beam pushed him through 3 buildings. The strongest hunter in the country disappeared into a hotel. Vex laughed. This was no longer a student problem. This was barely a human problem. I looked at my points. I still had over 1 billion. And midnight was 30 minutes away. Yes, I checked. I could not help myself. If I survived 30 minutes, the number would double again. Vex landed in front of me. She knew. Error site showed that she could see my timer. She smiled. you are waiting for midnight. I said nothing. She laughed harder. Then she announced she would kill me in 29 minutes. That was personal. I ran. The next half hour became the most ridiculous battle of my life. I used air step to sprint between buildings. Vex flew after me. She fired beams. I bought beam sense. She created gravity wells. I bought gravity resistance, finally paying the 8,000 I had once considered too expensive. She summoned a storm of black knives. I bought umbrella mastery. That one did not help. I immediately regretted it. Then I bought projectile deflection. Better, I bounced knives into billboards, rooftops, and one unfortunate statue of the mayor. Vex chased me across the city. Every minute she became stronger by draining the extractor. Every minute I bought just enough skills to stay alive. She created a giant black dragon. I bought dragon language. It roared. I understood it. It was saying, I am contractually required to attack. I shouted back, do you get breaks? The dragon hesitated. Vex screamed at it. I bought labor law knowledge. 1 point. I informed the dragon that summoned entities working continuous combat duty without rest might qualify for compensation. The dragon stopped midair. It asked Vex about benefits. She destroyed it herself. That bought me 40 seconds, 20 minutes until midnight. Vex trapped me inside a sphere of darkness. I bought night vision, too dark. I bought magical night vision, still too dark. I bought darkness navigation. Better. Then she removed direction itself. I bought inner compass. The skill tree was starting to feel like an argument between two children inventing rules. She erased gravity. I bought aerial swimming. I swam through the air. Rex later told me it looked incredibly stupid. I survived 15 minutes. The whole academy joined the fight. Master Saul attacked Vex with one arm and enough confidence for 6. Kira cut her sound waves. Dax stored one of her explosions and threw it back. Momo opened doors in the sky so attacks came from impossible angles. Nia used command voice on civilians, ordering them to evacuate faster. Juno punched a falling building. It did not work. Then I bought structural weakness sight and shouted where to hit. His next punch split the debris safely around us. For the first time, I stopped thinking only about myself. I had points, an absurd amount. Skills did not have to be for me. I found a hidden branch under point sovereignty, skill lending. Cost 1 million, and I bought it. Then I touched Juno. I loaned him Mountain Breaker. His eyes widened. He punched once. The shockwave crossed the city and hit Vex in the face. She flew through a tower. Juno stared at his fist. I grabbed Rex. I loaned him Solar Fire. His flames turned white. He screamed with joy and immediately burned his own shirt off. Still Rex, I touched Nia. I loaned her Absolute Command. She looked at Vex and said one word, fall. Vex slammed into the ground. Momo got infinite door range. Doors appeared across the entire skyline. She opened one under Vex, one above the ocean, one behind Vex again, and created a loop that dropped the stolen Empress through the sky 20 times in 5 seconds. Momo started laughing like a villain. I became slightly concerned. 10 minutes until midnight. Vex broke the loans. A wave of stolen authority exploded from her body. My friends lost the borrowed skills. She rose above the city furious. Then she activated the world point extractor at full power. Every awakened person on Earth felt it. Numbers began dropping, 1 point per second. Then 10, then 100. Hunters around the world screamed as their save points vanished. I had point lock, but everyone else did not. I could destroy the extractor. Maybe I searched the tree. World point extractor had one hidden weakness. It could not drain points legally owned by the user. Point sovereignty made mine safe. But nobody else had it. I could not buy it for billions of people. Then I remembered skill lending. I did not need to buy it for them. I only needed to share the effect. I found global lending. Cost 100 million. I bought it. My points dropped hard. That hurt, but I activated point sovereignty as the lent skill. Across the planet, every awakened person received a temporary notification. Ownership confirmed. The extractor stopped. Vex screamed. The crystal cracked. The stored energy reversed. Millions of stolen points shot back toward their owners. Some people got 1, some got 50. One retired grandmother in Brazil apparently had saved 12,000 because she forgot her password and could not open the skill menu. Legend, the extractor overloaded. Vex lost power. Her level dropped from 1,000 to 800. Then 600, then 3, still dangerous. But human dangerous, 5 minutes until midnight. I landed in front of her. She was shaking. Her armor cracked. She asked why I would spend 100 million points to protect strangers. I looked at the timer. 4 minutes. I told her because I can make more. She hated that answer. She attacked with everything left. The sky turned black. 1,000 shadow weapons appeared. I could have run. Instead, I opened my skill tree fully. Millions of branches spread across my vision. I finally stopped shopping like a man afraid of coupons. I bought Sword Mastery, Advanced Sword Mastery, Grand Sword Mastery, Sword Saint, Sword Emperor. Concept Blade, I bought Strength, Titan Strength, World Lifter, I bought Speed, Thunder Body. Space Runner, I bought Magic, Fire, Ice, Lightning, Gravity, Barrier, Healing, Wind, Shadow. Light, I bought skills so quickly the system started asking if I was sure. I disabled confirmation prompts. That might have been my most powerful upgrade. My stats exploded, the ground cracked under my feet, energy flooded my body. For weeks I had looked normal because I refused to spend. Now every saved day came crashing into reality at once. Vex fired 1,000 shadow weapons. I drew a sword I did not have. Concept Blade created one from the idea of cutting. I swung once. Every shadow weapon split, the cloud split, the black sky split. A satellite probably felt nervous. Vex stared at me. I stepped forward. She attacked with Debt Collector. I caught her hand. Point Sovereignty rejected the transfer. I said denied. Then I punched her, not hard. I was still learning my strength. She flew 20 kilometers. Apparently not hard needed adjustment. I used Space Runner and reached her before she landed. I kicked upward. She entered the clouds. I used Air Step, caught up. Kicked down. She crashed into the empty stadium where the tournament had happened. Rex arrived using solar fire leftovers and shouted that I stole his dramatic finish. I told him he had burned off his shirt. He looked down. He had forgotten. 2 minutes until midnight. Vex stood again. Her stolen class began breaking apart. She looked terrified now, not of me. Of the sky, error sight flashed. Collector arrival 1 minute 53 seconds. I stopped smiling, so did Vex. The entire world went silent. Every system screen opened automatically. A countdown appeared. People looked upward. The clouds folded into a perfect circle. Behind them was not space. It was a white room. Something enormous stood on the other side. Too large to understand. A hand reached toward Earth, not a monster hand. A human-looking hand made of glowing system text. Vex whispered, "It's here." I checked my points. After everything I had spent, I still had hundreds of millions. The timer showed 1 minute until doubling. The collector countdown showed 1 minute 40 seconds. I laughed, not because it was funny. Because after all that waiting, the universe had finally decided to challenge me on timing. The collector's finger touched the edge of the atmosphere. Every awakened person froze. A message appeared, growth anomaly located, user, sky, that was new. I would have preferred unknown user. The hand moved toward me. Saint Orion landed beside me, armor broken. Master Sol arrived. Nia, Juno, Rex, Momo, Kira, Dax, Captain Myra, and hundreds of hunters filled the stadium. Even Madame Vex stood up. Nobody knew what to do. I did wait. 40 seconds until midnight. The collector opened another message. Confiscation authorized, 30 seconds. My points began shaking inside the status screen. Point Sovereignty held them in place. The collector applied more force. Cracks appeared around the number, 20 seconds. I opened the authority tree, administrator candidate, create quest, pause damage, delete distance. There were dozens of impossible skills I could buy, but I wanted the doubling. Just one more time, 10 seconds. The collector's finger descended. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, midnight. My remaining skill points doubled. The number jumped. The system screamed, not a voice, not an alarm. The actual blue screens around the world distorted like they were in pain. My point total crossed a threshold I had never seen. New branches exploded across the skill tree. They did not fit inside the interface. The screen expanded across the stadium, then across the city, then across the sky. Skills appeared with names that made everyone stop breathing. Rewrite rule. Create system, kill concept, return world, open boundary, infinite growth, collector authority. And one skill at the very top, it had no cost, it only had a condition. Condition possess more growth potential than the current administrator status. Complete name take control. The collector stopped moving. For the first time, error sight showed text over it. Current administrator authority 51%. Then text appeared over me. Candidate sky authority potential 52%, 1%. I had waited long enough to become 1% more ridiculous than the thing running the world. Rex looked at the sky-sized skill tree and whispered, "Sky, what exactly have you been doing?" I looked at the take control skill. I could press it. Maybe I would steal the system. Maybe I would break Earth. Maybe the collector would erase me before the skill activated. Maybe the doubling would continue tomorrow and make the whole problem even worse. Then Madame Vex started laughing. Not a happy laugh. She pointed behind the collector. Inside the white space, more shadows were moving. 1, 10, hundreds, other collectors. The one reaching toward Earth was not the army, it was the first scout. Error site updated, collector swarm arrival 24 hours. I stared at the timer. 24 hours, the same amount of time my points needed to double again. Of course, the final boss had a daily schedule. The system displayed a new quest, survive until next doubling, reward undisclosed. Failure planetary reset, Rex cracked his knuckles, Juno raised his fists, Nia smiled. Momo opened a door into the sky and asked if we could slam it on a collector's fingers. Master Saul told everyone to prepare. Saint Orion looked at me and asked whether I had a plan. I looked at my billions of points, then at the take control skill. Then at the army waiting beyond the system, I smiled. Yeah. For the first time since awakening, I was not planning to save everything. I was planning to spend enough to make the universe regret giving me interest.